Well, good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Breakfast Extra, the Saturday edition, where we bring you a heavy dose of reality served early with a side of satire. I want to apologize for starting late today, but hey, today on our headlines, we give you the usual cocktail of drama and a hint of scandal, an undiluted taste of everyday survival, because that's the flavor that we're stuck with here in Nigeria lately. But let's begin. Now, this week, or should I say the week past, northern Nigeria took the cake in hardship with a complete blackout across 17 states. And as if the economy wasn't enough in shambles, businesses were sent scrambling, forced to, shut down or pay an arm and a leg to keep running on fuel, draining resources faster than, the government can make another empty promise. They say that North's losses hit a staggering 1.5 trillion naira, but the real hit, the dignity of the people left in the dark, literally and figuratively. And yet the government's response was a masterclass in empty words, dressed up in high hopes and promises that maybe, just maybe by November 12th, they'll finally bring power back to the entire North. Now, we do know that some places have power. Until then, they seem very content with letting the lights out on productivity, stability, and everything that we hold dear as basic. By the way, fuel prices experienced another hike during the week, but I think that's a story that everybody already knows. So imagine the suffering northern residents had to endure. No, had to survive. Well, personally, I can't imagine it. Now, if your head is not already spinning, let's talk politics, or should I say power moves of a different kind. Recently, a House of Reps member made the news for all the wrong reasons. Instead of representing the people, he decided to play the judge, jury, and brutalizer, delivering his honorable fists to a bull driver. Now, they say you can still hear the sounds of the 3 slaps that he delivered across the bull driver's face, even up until now. And just like that, his action sent ripples across Nigeria, where everyone started going up on their pages. And of course, we've all grown too familiar with the officials who think that their badge of service comes with a free license for bad behavior. While the House of Reps is probing, which is what they always do, the so-called honorable gentleman mustered up enough courage to make an apology, complete with crocodile tears and a 500,000 naira bill as his ticket back to freedom. But don't worry, his legacy is forever stamped with a certain notoriety that speaks louder than any apology. It's all disgusting stuff, really, because that video was heart-wrenching to see. Meanwhile, down in the labyrinth of Abuja's real estate drama, our esteemed FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, who's the new real estate manager, decided to play judge, jury, and land reclamation expert. Wike, my uncle, his message to all the residents, crystal clear. This land is not your land. It's not. In a no-nonsense pep talk only he could deliver, Wike labeled certain property owners as squatters who had somehow finessed their way onto government land. His words, let's negotiate, or pack your bags and leave. It's eviction season. I'm going to get a cough after this. But he does it perfectly. Now, apparently, part of Wike's job description now includes telling folks who thought they had struck real estate gold that, oops, sorry, your dreams are over. But Wike didn't just stop at evictions. He took it upon himself to redefine what it means to own land in the FCT. He claimed these residents were involved in land racketeering. I know it's a term that sounds like as if it should be a good entrepreneurial word, but if not for the fact that it's left property owners clutching their D's like, oh my goodness, I'm losing my home. And in case anyone doubted his intentions, Wike made it clear he's ready to reclaim every square inch of illegal land he believes was wrongfully acquired. Forget subtitles. He's not interested in that. In Wike's Abuja, it's either Wike's way or Gwagwalada. You get it? Forget that. Naturally, the backlash was instant. Social media was ablaze with residents and observers pointing out the rich irony of officials so eager to play the moral high ground. And when it comes to public land, they're always there, as if they themselves weren't, occasionally borrowing a plot of land or two in their day. So whether it's a fist in Maitama or a no-holds-barred insult to landowners across Abuja, our leaders are already ready to enlighten the people any means necessary. That includes that. So here we are, Nigeria, caught between powerful fists and louder insults, with the power cuts and economic punches that keep us down. But even as we're battered, let's never forget one thing. Never forget where our rights begin and where no one can even, touch them. Not even the honorables. No one should be able to infringe on them. So I say to you guys, keep holding your heads high no matter how low the lights may dim. Get it? Oh well, in any case. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce you guys to my co-hosts this morning. First off, my name is Mazino Appeal and the delectable Judith TB. Judith, how you doing? Thank you very much for joining this morning and being as vibrant as usual. But I wanted to ask who you're sympathizing with the most, landowners or northerners who were left in the dark all through the week last week. Which one?
Mazino, that's a tough one. Oh, that's a tough one. Can I not pick? Can I be selfish and just put everyone in that box? That's
the true spirit of servitude. That's what you should be, a minister.
I should. I should.
I don't trust young people these days because when they get there, then
I don't trust Nigerians. Let's just put it plain and simple. It's not young or old.
It's all good. Tell you what, we're going to go right into our first big report because we've got something very interesting. In fact, everything for the next 3 hours very interesting, and we're bringing that to you right now. So do stay tuned. Once again, welcome to Breakfast Extra. Let's go.
A very good morning and welcome again. It's time for us to get started with Big Report. This is where we dive deep into the stories shaping the lives of millions of Nigerians. Our focus today is the unsettling reality faced by residents across northern Nigeria as an extended blackout continues to take a toll on lives and livelihoods in a country that is supposedly blessed with abundant resources and hailed as the giant of Africa. One would expect that the basic rights to electricity or power would be a given, yet for weeks now the northern region has been shrouded in darkness, a stark reminder of the challenges faced by ordinary Nigerians thriving to keep, their businesses afloat and communities thriving. Now, the economic impact has been nothing short of devastating. Businesses struggling to operate without power have reported skyrocketing costs due to fuel for generators, as well as families are left scrambling to cope in unimaginable ways. The International Rights Commission estimates that this prolonged power outage has cost the region a staggering 1.5 trillion naira in economic losses. And amidst all this, authorities continue to insist on quick fixes and targeted responses. Yet, residents are left asking, when will we see the light?
Now, this morning, to help us better understand the situation, we turn to our correspondent, News Central's own Chizoba Ononye, who spent time in Plateau State capturing the mood and frustrations of the people. Chizoba, you're welcome. Thank you very much. And also, we have Mr. Musa Ashams, Commissioner for Information and Communication, Plateau State. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, lady, once again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us this morning.
Yeah, good.
Now, before we get into our discussion, we would like to play the report that Chizoba filed in earlier this week so we can just, have a bit of more context for this conversation. Take a look.
First they started, it was from Enugu. The next one they said it's from Benue. The next time they said it's in Kaduna. And then now back to Benue. So where's the problem? They don't even know where the problem is. The minister just said in 3 or 4, 5 days we will get light. I bet you they don't know what's the problem. We're not going to see light in 5 days and they'll add another 3 days. That's how they've been doing.
This is about the 11th day that citizens of Nigeria in the 19 northern states of the country have been experiencing once it is nightfall, living their lives without the use of electricity supply, an antidote to security of both lives and property too. For these residents of Plateau in Jos, the state capital, Nigeria at 64 should have attained a higher level of development other than what is currently available. As if the present harsh economy isn't enough, businesses are being halted as much as their drivers are fast losing hope in the government of the day, except for a few people who can afford the exorbitant prices of petrol to operate their generating sets.
10 days without light. It's very terrible. Have you ever think about the people in the hospitals, people on oxygen? That means everything will double or triple because they have to now run on generators.
We're already in difficulties. There is fuel scarcity, the fuel has been increased, the tariff of the light has even been increased. and people don't have light. Talk about businesses. The common people are suffering.
This thing has affected me badly. My laptop I cannot charge. I have to go to somewhere. Sometimes I stay overnight. If I get because of this light issue, I have to go to somewhere maybe close to my area to charge my laptops and my phones.
A few days after the governors and monarchs of the 19 northern states in the country called on the federal government to address the current electricity power blackouts in the affected states, as well as invest in additional transmission lines and diversify energy supply to ensure improved electricity, nothing seemed to have changed. The way out of this is what Nigerians are asking for. Otherwise, this is what will be left of our environments until electricity supply is restored.
They should overhaul everything and give us a blueprint on how to do our power. Don't forget, the president said that if he doesn't give us light in 4 years, we should vote him out. With his mouth, we have it on camera. So we'll remind him when he comes to campaign in 2027.
I know government said they are trying, but to me, I'm highly disappointed now. In the 21st century, we find ourselves in this situation. These 5 days they are giving, we don't even know whether by weekend we will have the light. The national grid cannot be centralized. We should need to decentralize it.
They should diversify the power. Concentrating on hydro energy has not been working for long now. They should maybe involve this company that are into solar and harness air energy and the rest.
Now, this is a sorry state in which residents of Jos, the Plateau State capital, are facing. Their cry is that government and all stakeholders join hands together to find a way out of this situation. From Jos for News Central, Chizoba Ononye.
And that's Chizoba Ononye there. Chizoba, many thanks for that report and just speaking to residents on the streets. Chizoba is also live with us, as well as Musa Asham, who is the Commissioner for Information and Communication, Plateau State. Now, of course, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Asham, and just literally ask about, the update regarding the situation when it comes to electricity. We understand that the blackout is due to vandalism, and troops have been deployed so far to combat vandalism that is affecting the power infrastructure. First of all, I'd like for you to speak on the military response of it and the government response of it, and whether or not it's enough to address the root cause of, we've heard kidnaps, we've heard town attacks, but power is a new one, at least for me. Please.
The transmission company of Nigeria, the GENCOs and DISCOs are under the purview of the federal government. And when we continue to depend on this national grid, these are the situations we continue to face. I want to first of all sympathize with our people, especially our people in Plateau State, for what we went through, because it all affected us. You can imagine powering your generator set with either diesel or PMS. A liter of PMS here in Jos, the least you can get is around 1,200 naira. And some of these generating sets consume up to 6 liters. So for a small or medium scale business, sustaining it is a problem. And people had to go through a lot. Some people had to suspend their businesses because they cannot continue with this cost. It's quite sad that our national assets will be vandalized by agents of, I don't know how to call them, and we've had to go through all of this. Apart from Niger and Kwara, all the 17 states in the north suffered this darkness. And you know the situation of Nigeria, insecurity and all of those things. When you do not have electricity, it makes it worse. It's quite sad that some people will just go and vandalize our national assets and go scot-free. When they vandalize their markets, they take them for them to sell them. And I hope that the military, those that are responsible for fixing all of these issues, get to the root of the matter, like we always say in Nigeria. Our people have faced a lot. Our people are not happy. As we speak, even when we think that power has been restored, there are a lot of communities here in Plateau State that have not seen the light until now, and they are complaining. When I got the invitation to appear on your station this morning by Chizoba, I placed on my Facebook platform that I'll be talking about electricity. I want our people to share their experiences. Their experiences are very, very gory. They are very, very sad. They are bad ones. And I hope that this will be fixed so that our people that have faced a lot of things already with the band A, band B, band C issues will go about their usual normal businesses, because it is micro activities that are mostly our people are interested in, our people are involved in. So once you take electricity out of it, we become almost close to uselessness.
Right.
And apart from water, the next thing that is most important to us as a people, if you allow me, is electricity, because it does a lot. So if you go to the barbering salon, if you go to the woman selling kunu, she has to chill it. If you go to tailoring workshops, if you go to where we do weldings, a lot of issues around electricity. And it's quite sad that we had to stay for days without electricity.
Right.
Even in countries where there is a war, you still find people have access to electricity.
Right.
Here, there's no war, there's no insurgency, yes, to a large extent in some parts, and especially in the bushes. But in the city centers, you stay without light. If not for the street lights that we have in Jos, we would have had total darkness.
I have to ask you, I know you said that you have posted the flyer. You also went on your Facebook to also speak to those who follow you on your social media to follow this interview. But I also have to ask about the governor. We understand that 19 governors of the North have met regarding this blackout. But has the governor, that's Caleb Mufwang, come out to address the residents of Plateau State or indigents of Plateau States, and just being able to empathize with them and just make sure that they are heard and their concerns are being taken into cognizance and it's being addressed?
In Plateau State, we have the Plateau State Energy Corporation, and just in February this year, the deep thinking governor signed 2 electricity deals into law. That is the Plateau State Energy Corporation and the Plateau State Electricity Market. These 2 laws are strategically crafted to facilitate the generation of ample electricity, incorporating renewable energy sources, and even selling to other people. We have not come to empathize or sympathize openly with our people, but they know that we empathize with them. They know that we sympathize with them. Ours is to fix this problem. Here on the plateau, we've had a NESCO that has been in existence since 1929. And it will interest you to know that we've been in talking terms with the shareholders of that company to see how government too can come into it so that we widen the scope of our electricity needs and reach. Here on the plateau, it will interest you to know that apart from Plateau North, that is just North, just South, just East, Warri, Keladi, and Mombasa, most local governments outside Plateau North do not even enjoy electricity in the first instance. So just last week, the Plateau State Executive Council approved for the consultancy, rehabilitation, and reconstruction of the 33 kVA overhead line for the Kerang and for the existing Doroa feeder at Air Force Base in Kerang, which is in Mangu local government, is going to cover areas like Chip, Kahil, and Rapensengi, plenty places in Bokos and Mangu and Banchin local government. So the idea is that our people need to have electricity, and our plan is to generate electricity and even export to neighboring states. So those are the things we're trying to do in as far as Plateau State is concerned. Like I told you, we even have 2 electricity laws. I don't think any state has that. And again, the state government has given counterpart funding to access funds from donor agencies like UNIDO, UNDP, REA, UKAID, USAID. We have paid the sum of 1,112 million naira to access 3 billion so that we can power our primary health centers across Plateau State.
Now, Mr. Ashams, I would like to speak to the notes that the North actually lost 1.5 trillion naira. However, I'd like to take that from Chizoba's angle, because she was on the streets testing the pulse of people. So Chizoba, specifically, how did people have to manage in the North, noting the economic downturn that we've been experiencing, the hike in fact, only last week, there was also an increase in the pump price for fuel. How did the people manage? How did the businesses manage? We saw your report, but we want to hear from you specifically and how you emotively also engaged these people.
I think it's a very sad story, actually. When you get face to face with these people, to interact with them, to feel their pulse and know what exactly they are going through. Actually, it's not everything that you see on camera, on TV, you understand? So they are sad. They are sad. In fact, let me even tell you that so many businesses, especially the small-scale businesses, have closed down. So many of them. In fact, they said so many things that I felt so bad continuing with the interview with them. Somebody said his immediate younger brother had closed down his shop because there was no light, the electricity, of course, and his business had to be on that. So he had to try to get petrol at very exorbitant price. That at the end of the 2 days he tried that measure, it didn't work for him. He couldn't even recover the money he used to buy the petrol, not to talk about making profit on that. So he had to close shop for the days that there was no power. Do you understand? Then so many women I spoke to also, unfortunately, my gender, they would say, wouldn't want to come on air most times, especially on TV, to talk about their situation, But sadly, some of them that spoke to me were feeling very bad that sometimes they have to cook in large quantities, put in their refrigerators or in the freezer so that they don't have to take the long hours cooking and doing all these things like every day of the week. You understand? So at the end of the day, because the petrol they have to buy to power their generating sets, it's something that they don't even want to think about. And so because of that, they were not able to buy the petrol to run their generating set. And so their food had to spoil because they couldn't finish what they had in stock. And then what the economy is saying these days. So many people don't even have the mind to say, okay, let me share with this person, let me share with that person, or let's finish up everything to avoid it spoiling and being wasted. But at the end of the day, that was the situation. So a whole lot of people passed through so many things. I spoke to one person that said that sometimes he had to sleep over in a friend's house or in neighbors' houses. Why? Because he needed to charge his phone, he had to charge his laptop so he could work. So that's the situation we got from the field. Unfortunately, so many of these people can't come on camera or on TV to talk about this personal situation.
Were they informed?
That they go through.
Chizoba, was there adequate information given to the people on the reasons why there was a blackout, and how did they feel?
Well, there wasn't per se until after like 5 days. You know what happened now? It was the national grid issue at some point. So when it happened in Jos, people thought it was still the same national grid issue until about 3, 4, 5 days after that, when a newsletter came from the JEDC providing this power for Plateau State in particular, saying what was the issue. And that was when we knew that it's not the national grid, we're on our own now. Do you understand? So that was at the point we got to know about the situation, that it was peculiar to Plateau and some of these other northern states in the country. So at that point, they knew the situation was something else. And of course, we had to go through it.
Right. It makes you wonder what, just the biggest grievances with the people now, whether it's, the response from the government or lack of information, not exactly knowing what truly indeed happened, if it was a grid fail or as they now come to understand that it was vandalism from, bandits and terrorists. But let me come to you back, Commissioner, Mr. Ashrams, and ask about the meeting that was convened with the 19 governors of the North. And pretty much, was there any sense of urgency coming out of that meeting? Now, I have to ask you, because the blackout is expected to last until 10 days from now, which is November 12th, right? And from what we've seen, residents, from speaking to Chizoba and watching that report, residents are tired and they just want to be out of it. And with this soaring cost of living climb that we are, one has to ask if there's a sense of urgency, and also to ask, in the next 10 days, is the government, and by the government I mean the state government, Governor Mofan, doing anything in terms of subsidies or alleviation programs to help the citizens, indigents, whether it's in the capital or in states or parts of the state that is truly and very severely affected by this blackout? Hospitals, for example, schools, for examples, and even industries. What is being done?
I'm kind of surprised that you're asking me questions you should be asking the federal government of Nigeria. But because we are also a part of it, it's important that we respond to it. Like I told you, we are doing a lot of things to leverage on the independent power plants. We're looking at different types of renewable energy solutions and fossil fuels. And conservatively, we have over 50 communities undergoing solar mini grid constructions. Most of them will be powered between now and December. It's like we have seen that Nigeria can go through this kind of issue. That is why I told you in February, we signed 2 electricity bills into law. And as a government, the challenges are myriad, from roads, from water to electricity. That is why we have the Ministry of Water and Energy. In the past, it was just Ministry of Water Resources. Today, we have merged it, looking at the importance of water and electricity. And there are other issues too. Not long ago, government approved for the construction of 55 new schools, junior secondary schools and senior secondary schools. So the challenges are myriad. We are hoping that the federal government is going to fix this issue as quick as possible, because we were told earlier on that it was going to be on the 12th of November, and lo and behold, day before yesterday and yesterday, light to a large extent has been restored, but there are still communities here on the plateau that have not experienced that. So we're hoping that all of that will be fixed. Like
I also want to ask a question regarding
the Plateau State Water Board. Our water, distribution reticulation is done via the Just Electricity Distribution Company. Because that blackout happened, we have to devise a means of powering the system via diesel so that our people will access water. A lot of things have happened with this blackout. Like I told you, here on the plateau, we produce tomatoes. At some
Commissioner
point,
Ashams,
a basket was...
Commissioner Ashams,
Hello?
my apologies, I had to cut you. We're almost out of time, but we really wanted to find out exactly what the outcome is from the governors' meeting, the 19 governors of the North that met on the matter. Has there been any outcome at all?
No, the outcome is that it will be fixed very soon, and we're hoping that it is going to be fixed because our people are going through a lot. Like a basket of tomato here on the plateau has become 12,000. Some weeks back, it was 3,000. Our people had to store it in their fridges, but they had to use it because of the blackout, and a lot of examples like that. And it is quite disheartening that our people have to go through all of these issues in 2024. And as a state, like I said, going forward, we want to generate electricity and see how we can even export it to neighboring states and people that are willing to buy. And we want to diversify the electricity template. We want to see how we can go into renewable energy solutions and fossil fuels and see how things will turn around, because we depend on this electricity. That is a statement of fact.
Chizoba, finally, could we ask, now that there has been some power restored to some parts, especially in Plateau State, are the people readjusting and are they happy at what they have currently, or is there that trepidation that this might go out very soon again?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. They are happy, actually. When the power came that night, especially in my area, I heard people shouting, "Off NEPA, off JDC," and also, that's the normal thing you get to hear and see around. But just like my commissioner said, some areas still don't have this scarce commodity these days. Okay, so they are asking and praying that they get to enjoy what others are enjoying. You know how it feels like when night comes, you have power in your house and your next door neighbor doesn't have the same thing that he or she should also have and enjoy. So that's their plight, and they are asking that it is sustained, because the truth is the way we used to enjoy power supply before the 11 days blackout is not what we are having now. You keep having interruptions and all those. So, but we believe that they are still working on it, since some other states are yet to be restored with electricity in those areas. So we hope that when it's finally done, people will get back to normal businesses and then pick up with their lives again, especially with the situation of the economy in the country.
Okay, then.
Ms. Ashams, you reeled out some of the alternatives that the state government is working on in terms of rural electrification, as well as putting people on alternative source of power, whether it's solar and the other initiatives that you've signed with the USAID, if I'm correct, another non-government organizations you've mentioned. But I'm worried about really generation of power with those systems and the consolidating on it with next government and maintenance and infrastructural maintenance, those kind of issues that we have as a people and as a government. What is one thing to build these systems, is another to maintain them, right? So I want to ask about that. Are they on the grid? Because I remember while speaking to one of our, and I'm getting to this, I was speaking to a reporter, Umaru Kirawa, who is situated in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, and he was also talking about the alternative as well, alternative source of power that the state had, but it also collapsed during the blackout as well. It also did collapse. So how are we what is the state going to do to make sure that the alternative serves as alternative, and even when the national grid collapses, pending when it becomes regionalized, that it still stands and provides power in spite of infrastructural failures?
Here on the plateau, we are privileged to have a governor who has the spirit of excellence, a governor who wants to sustain everything that is good. Like I told you, we've always had NESCO from 1929. So Plateau State has had an independent power plant, and we are hoping that it is going to be widened, and we hope that the governor under his watch is going to make sure that electricity is sustained. Once we hit the ground running, once all of these things are fixed, we'll make sure that they don't go the way, they don't go south like others will have them go. Our monitoring and evaluation technique is robust. And as a government, we would like to put smiles on the faces of our people. That is why we came into government in the first place, to provide solutions. We came with a clear-cut agenda to put Plateau State first, to make sure that Plateau State enjoys the benefits of democracy. Like I was talking about counterpart funding that we paid 1,112 million naira to access 3 billion naira so that we can power our primary health care centers across the 17 local governments. We are a privileged state. We are among the 5 states in this country to benefit from such funding. And we'll continue to synergize, we'll continue to reach out, we'll continue to go out there to find investors so that they will come and invest in Plateau State, because very soon we're going to have this special agro-industrial processing zone. And it will need a lot of electricity to power these agro-industries that will be coming. The African Development Bank has given us that node already, and we're going to be accessing all of those funds. So we are serious with governance, we are serious with the development of our state, and we have a very serious governor. And we have a very serious people too that are ready to improve their micro and macro economic activities so that our pockets will have a lot of money in it. So as a government, we're not going to relent on that. Once we fix all of these things, we will make sure they are sustained, because sustenance is very, very important. We're not going to allow our investments to collapse. Mm-hmm. Like I told you, we have a very serious governor in His Excellency, Mr. Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang, and he's poised at changing the ugly narrative as far as bad governance is concerned, because we've set a template for a new Plateau State, and we're going to work within the purview of that template. And we want, at the end of our sojourn in government, for our people to say, we came, we saw, and we delivered. And there was a Caleb Manasseh, son of Mutfwang, who governed with the fear of God, who changed our bad history to a good one, who made sure the electricity improved, who made sure that our education improved, who made sure that our health improved, our agricultural life, our tourism potentials are harnessed, and of course, who has changed our fortunes for good.
Commissioner, thank you for highlighting the efforts of the governor. Fantastic. He's also part of the 19 governors that are taking on this issue. And across the country, there's been a growing call for decentralizing the national grid, or at least power generation. So I'm asking whether if this shouldn't be the focus of that meeting, the convening of that meeting with all 19 governors of the North. Why isn't there that push for, states making their own power by themselves?
As a state, I've told you that we've signed 2 bills into law already that has to do with electricity. So we've set the ball in motion, and that is what we'll be achieving. We have the Plateau State Energy Corporation, where we got one of our sons that is an egghead in the electricity world, in the electricity business, who is the MD CEO. And like I told you, we have even SA on carbon credits. We are serious about governance, and we're not going to relent on that. And like I told you, we have the NESCO, National Electricity Supply Company, which is an independent company with a generating plant at Pura Falls here on the plateau. We're trying to see how we can widen their scope to engage them to become shareholders too in that company and see how we can still give electricity. When it was entirely blackout in Nigeria, places that use NESCO here on the plateau had electricity. So we are looking at that possibility. So Plateau State has had an independent source since 1929, even before the independence of Nigeria.
Mr. Asham, then there is the case of this being a vandalism instance. Where there is vandalism, there's always demand, where people actually, take these things and go perhaps sell. What exactly is the basis for this vandalism? Are people actually selling these back to electricity producers, or are they perhaps maybe remanufacturing whatever it is they're taking from the infrastructure to other things? And what is the state doing about this, if it has discovered exactly where these items are being taken?
Well, I'm not qualified to speak about vandalism, especially when it has to do with the national grid. The GENCOs, DISCOs, TCN, Ministry of Power, and those that are responsible will give you a better understanding of that. It might be suicidal for me to speak about it, but for vandalism, I will use this your platform, this great platform, to admonish them to desist from that act. It is not fair. Look at what they've plunged Nigerians in 19 northern states. You've heard the statistics you were given about 1.5 trillion. And if it continues, like we said, some communities have not seen electricity, it's going to skyrocket to maybe 2 or 3 trillion. And that's not good for our economy that is struggling. For us to continue to have a collective power supply is bad omen. It's not a good story for us in the year 2024, where people are talking about artificial intelligence, where people are talking about robotics, people are talking about a lot of things that are changing their narratives, where people are even saying they were going to create robots that will take pregnancy so that women don't suffer, so that women don't die in the process of giving birth. So I think it is quite sad, and I hope that the narrative is going to change very soon, so that Nigerians will enjoy the dividends of democracy, so that Nigerians will enjoy the fact that we are the largest black nation in the world. Our examples shouldn't be negative examples. We should also have positive examples too. We should also have things we can cling to. We should also have stories that people will also refer to in the future as beautiful stories.
All right, thank you very much, sir. But I'm going to ask again, because we're pretty much pressed for time. You still haven't talked about, you're saying that there's all these other alternatives, whether it's a solar power, whether it's the other power infrastructure that has been installed, whether from the partnership within the NGOs or the existing ones that the state already have going on. But I still have to ask you, for those without power who do not have access to these alternatives, what is going to happen to them in the next 10 days? You said I should ask the federal government, but the state government is still very much in charge of these people. It's under the constituency. What happens to them now, within now till November 12th? And also, is November 12th a sure deal that power will return to these people?
I am not in the position to talk about the November 12th, whether it's a sure deal. But like I told you, power is not something that you can just begin to fix within days, because it's a huge project. If it will take the federal government this long because of vandalism, you should know that it will take us longer time for us to fix all of these issues. Like I told you, the State Executive Council just last week approved for the rehabilitation, the consultancy of the 33 kVA line, which is situated at the Dorua main feeder, which is situated at the Air Force Base in Kerang in Manguno government, which is going to deal with power situations in Bumpe, in Chip, in Jipam, and other parts of Plateau State. So as a government, we've set the ball in motion, but it's not a quick fix. It is something that will require time, and by the grace of God, it will be fixed. For the solar mini grids I talked about, from now to December, by the grace of God, about 50 communities are going to benefit from it. And we pray that we'll take it to more communities as time goes on. So basically, government is not folding its arms. Government is doing well. And we didn't do it because we were expecting that there's going to be national blackout. We did it because we need to fix electricity here on the plateau. And that is what we're doing as a government. So continue to do things that put smiles on the faces of our people.
Well, we do hope that smiles will return to the very good people of Plateau State. If there's one thing that we know is that the people of Plateau are very jolly, lucky people. We adore them over here. Many thanks to you, Mr. Musa Ashrams, Commissioner Information for Plateau State. Once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. God bless Plateau State.
Oh, yes, indeed. Back to Chizoba. Chizoba, I must ask you, right, in talking to the indigents and the small business owners and just trying to feel the pulse of the people, I have to ask, did you go to the hospitals or banks or any other private sector on a larger scale? And what was it like just speaking to them about having to pay very hefty sum to buy fuel to power their generators and keep services up?
Well, I wasn't able to go to all these places for one reason or the other, but a whole lot of them I was able to speak to off camera. They felt the pinch of it, you know. People had to go beyond what their capital is for their businesses. People had to go away from the normal way they had to live their lives just to make sure that they make ends meet, just to make sure they sustain their businesses and all that. Of course, everybody felt the pinch of the whole thing. I was at the Plateau State Specialist Hospital 2 days ago concerning the strike by Johesu, the health workers, and they said a whole lot of things. So it's not just about the power, it's not just about water scarcity, it's about the economy of the state, of the country in its entirety. So everybody is really feeling the pinch of the situation in the country at the moment. So all their prayer and their hope is that electricity is sustained, of course, restored to other places that don't have it at the moment, and then let it be sustained so that those that rely on it for their businesses, and of course, you know that major businesses these days have to be on electricity supply. So they are praying that it is sustained so that they keep managing their lives. In fact, one particular woman said during an interview that she feels Nigerians are just living on the mercy of God. So if that is the situation at the moment, I mean, everybody should just put their hands on deck to ensure that from their end, everything goes fine in Nigeria.
Chizoba, I think you just resonated across Nigeria, what you just said. We are indeed living on the mercy of God. But we also have Umaru Kirawa, who's joined us in from Borno State. Umaru, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. I want to get the perspective from that state, exactly how they dealt with the blackout, whether it's been restored even. So do tell us, Kirawa, what's the status there in Borno?
Well, the status in Borno, as usual, it's always exceptional because it's something that we have been battling for years. You know, this insurgency has really changed so many things. In Maiduguri, there was a time when we had about 6 months, I think, without electricity, but things are gradually changing. Now we have the emergency gas power plant, which was inaugurated by the previous administration, the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, which has been helping in terms of providing electricity power to residents of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Although even the gas plant recently had some issues, but now it's has been restored, and even as we speak to you now, there's light, there's electricity in the city center. But both natural, some areas will not have light because I've learned that they used to do it as if just like a timetable, which is unfortunate, and much really need to be done in terms of addressing the electricity issues. I mean, we're in the 21st century, and like the Vice President of Nigeria will always say, Santa Kashim Shetima, he said, we have missed the agricultural age, we have missed the industrial age, But this knowledge-driven age should not be something that Nigeria should miss, because we are talking of Nigeria or other countries in the African continent being part of permanent security member at the United Nations General Assembly, and so many other things that there are hope on Nigeria. All eyes is on Nigeria, and we are talking of electricity, and 19 states of the country without light, in darkness for days. It's something I think that the government and even the educational institution in Nigeria really need to think outside the box, look into the possibilities of coming up with alternative power. We have the institutions, we have the students, we have the talent. All that is needed, I think, is investment in youth, investment in the talent that we have in the country, investment in the right direction, so as to address some of the teething problems Nigeria is battling with as the giant of Africa.
All right. I mean, Umar, the last time we spoke, you talked about the alternative source of power for Maiduguri and how that was also down as well. And you know, speaking about alternative, right, even when the alternatives are down as the main source of power for the entirety of Africa is being vandalized, let's talk about the north in and of itself and insecurity and how it's not just affecting the security of farmers, of the indigents of the north, but also on electricity. What would be your call to the governors and also to the federal government at large when it comes to vandalism and terrorism and how it's affecting? I mean, I've never seen this before. I've said this so many times. I've not seen this before. I've heard so many things. For power, this is the first for me.
Yes, it's quite unfortunate, and like I've said, we need to really work as a country collectively to address some of the problems that are affecting us. If you look at the power crisis, the power problem, it's not only a power problem. It has to do with leadership problem. It has to do with followership problem, and some people are even making allegations that there's a sort of sabotage, and so the government really need to bring everybody on board, even in terms of differences in political affiliations, religious and other divides. There is need to engage even those that are perpetrating the vandals. The government really need to know what they want, what they need, so as Nigeria will be great. And like I've said, our educational system, we need to really work in terms of reforming the educational system so as to address the societal problem, to address societal issues. What is the essence of Nigeria having so many universities, and in this age, in this time, we cannot address even issue of electricity. We are talking of electricity power. Some countries are talking of nanotechnology, some countries are talking of artificial intelligence, big data, and so many other things of development. We are talking of power, which is the nucleus or the fulcrum of development. Without power, even the common man on the street will. I mean, it's a very serious problem that the government really need to work out solutions, particularly in engaging stakeholders, the vandals too. If because we have intelligence. There's need to engage these people, talk to them, and of course, bring about alternative solutions. If solar is the best solution, why not go for solar? And what is the essence of our students going through years of learning, and the knowledge are not implemented or put into practice in our countries? The Japa syndrome is there. When we have intellectuals, intelligent students, they have been carted away to other countries, developing other countries, and we are in a very sorry state, in a state of comatose, and people struggle to survive. So, but naturally, the government really need to work out modalities, work out strategies to address some of the goodies, some of the talent, some of the good things that are in Nigeria.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, one has to point out here that the root cause of the blackout in the north was basically due to the vandalization of the Shiroro-Kaduna transmission line. And we know that the military have now deployed troops to be on that end and also to guard and secure that area. But our call here, and pretty much the takeaway from here is both, you know, all arms when it comes to the state level or the federal government, plus the security outfit has to be on high alert and to just secure national property and pride for the sake of our people. Well, I mean, Umar, I must say thank you. Umar Kirawa, he's our correspondent in Maiduguri, Borno State, as well as Chizoba Anyowe. She is our correspondent in Plateau State, and they both have just been giving us a bit more insight as to the blackout in the north, given since this past week. I think from Sunday, they're about all the way there now. Although power is slowly rolling out in Borno as well as in Plateau, but we want to see a full restoration of power in both states. Lady, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. You people are looking great in the studio.
Yeah, you yourself as well.
All right, thank you, Kirawa. Chizoba, you're looking great yourself. Thank you. Okay, so let's stand by now. Coming up, Judith's going to be bringing us the news.
And you're welcome. It's time for the breakfast headlines here on Breakfast Extra. Let's begin with a move that has generated widespread condemnation, where no fewer than 163 arrested and bad governance protesters have been arraigned before the Federal High Court in the nation's capital, Abuja. This is as the trial judge, and that's Obiora Ngwatu, granted a bail of 10 million naira each to 67 of the arraigned protesters, many of whom are below the age of 15. The protesters were charged with offenses bordering on treason, civil disturbances, and an attempt to invite the Russian government to topple the government of President Bola Tinubu. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
Let's go.
The arraignment started with a drama as conspicuously malnourished minors collapsed before the court, forcing the trial judge Obiora Ngwatu to excuse himself for a while. The scene invoked an outburst from counsels as many in the court remained shocked at the event transpiring. The casualties were rushed to a nearby clinic within the court to allow the trial to continue. The prosecution counsel, Audu Garba, resisted attempts by the defense counsels to secure bail for the accused. Justice Ngwatu then granted each of the minors bail to the tune of 10 million naira.
The matter has been adjourned to January 24 for the substantive hearing of the matter so far, and the court has graciously granted a bail on a very, very stringent conditions, which they are to be remanded in Kuje Correctional Centers, while others are to be remanded in the Boston training, pending the hearing of the substantive charge. These people have been in lawful custody of the police for a considerable length of time, and none of them exhibited any sickness.
The court continued sitting until late in the evening. One of the prosecutors urged journalists to disregard allegations by the defendants, suggesting that the protesters were being violated.
They started protests, violent protests with flags, foreign flags, Russian flags. Haba, is that what we want in this country? Don't mind the defense counsel. They will always say something to tarnish the name of Nigerian police. It's not true.
The defendants also took time to counter claims by the police prosecutor.
We had to rush some of these young children to the clinic within the facility of the courts for them to be resuscitated. Some of them are still receiving treatment as I speak to you in the clinic. These young persons has been arrested since the 2nd day of August 2024. Over 3 months, they've been left without clothing, without housing, without proper care. They are looking very malnourished, as you can see the videos that are flying around social media.
You understand? The Tinubu government should discontinue the charge. We make a passionate appeal to the AGF, Baba Lateef Fagbemi, that he should discontinue the charge. He should take over the matter and discontinue against these children, so that the children can return back to school. And the Attorney General of the Federation has the inherent powers to take over this matter under Section 174 of the Constitution. That Baba Lateef Fagbemi should take over this matter and discontinue the charge against the children.
The protesters are being arraigned on a 10-count charge bordering on alleged treason and conspiracy to commit felony with the intent to destabilize Nigeria. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, has intervened in the matter, and as well as in the case of the #NBAD governance protesters who were arraigned earlier on Friday. The protesters who were arrested during the August 1st to 10th #NBAD governance demonstration were brought to a federal high court in Abuja. In a statement on Friday night, Lateef Fagbemi, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, said he had directed a transfer of the case file from the police. He added that the process to bring the adjournment forward had commenced.
The casualties were rushed to a nearby clinic within the court to allow the trial to continue. The prosecution counsel,
In the meantime, the Nigerian police force is vigorously adhered to legal provisions to ensure fairness and accountability under the rule of law in managing the detention and arraignment of the 76 suspects. The Nigerian Police Force Public Relations Officer Muyiwa Adejobi in a statement said that the 76 individuals were arraigned in court on charges including terrorism, arson, and treasonable felony. While responding to questions regarding the arraignment of minors at the #NBAD governance protesters at the Federal High Court in Abuja, Adejobi explained that children above the age of 7 can be charged to court. According to him, those exempt from criminal liability under the law are children under the age of 7, emphasizing that the arraigned individuals are 13 years and above. We'll switch gears now, but this time still on court matters. The Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the final forfeiture of $2.045 million, 7 prime properties and share certificates linked to former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele. Justice Dendi Dikpeolu ruled that neither Emefiele nor any other interested party contested the assets after an initial interim forfeiture. The court also noted that Emefiele failed to provide evidence linking his earnings from Zenith Bank or the central bank to the purchase of these properties. Emefiele denied connections to the companies under which the assets were brought, and these companies did not appear in court to claim ownership. And we're away from court, and this time to tax reforms. President Bola Tinubu says the tax reform bills would not be withdrawn from the National Assembly. He rather explained that the bills should go through the legislative process. A special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, disclosed this in a statement, and according to the statement, President Bola Tinubu received the National Economic Council's recommendation that the tax reform bills, by the way, already sent to the National Assembly, be withdrawn for further consultation. The Nigerian leader also commended the National Economic Council members, especially Vice President Kashim Shettima and the 36 state governors, for their advice. And now to politics in Rivers State. The state has continued to unfold with political twists and turns, with the latest coming by the call for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to hold by-elections to fill the 27 vacant seats in the State House of Assembly resulting from alleged members' defection. At a press conference in Port Harcourt on Friday, Victor Okojombo-led Assembly Speaker reiterated the call, pointing out that the removal of the legal impediment enabled INEC to proceed with the by-election. He noted that it is a matter of public record that Martin Omawale and 26 other Rivers State House of Assembly members defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC, on December 11, 2023, without providing any reasonable grounds.
Please recall that on the 11th day of December 2023, in the full view of the whole world, Honorable Martins Chike Amewule and 26 others defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressive Congress, APC, after their failed attempt to impeach the executive governor of Rivers State, Sir Siminala Ifubara, Grand Service Star of Rivers State, on the 30th day of October 2023. Please also recall that it is the People's Democratic Party that sponsored the election of Honorable Martins Chike Amewule and 26 others in the 2023 general elections. To frustrate the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from conducting a by-election to fill the vacated seats in the Rivers State House of Assembly, Honorable Martins Chike Amewule and 26 others filed suit number FHC/ now that suit number FHC/ABJ/CS/1681/2023 has been struck out, the order of interlocutory injunction is also spent. Accordingly, as the Right Honorable Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, I call on the Independent National Electoral Commission to forthwith conduct a by-election to fill the 27 vacant seats in the Rivers State House of Assembly.
And that's all at this hour. We'll bring you more at the top of the hour for 10. I am Judith at TV. Up next is more on Breakfast Extra. Stay here.
And you're welcome. It's Wellness Central, where we tackle the health challenges impacting our communities. Today, we're shining a spotlight on a condition that's often overlooked by, literally everybody. It's a ticking time bomb for millions of Nigerians, and it's called hypertension. It's known as the silent killer. Hypertension often goes unnoticed until it's too late, quietly causing irreparable damage to the heart, kidneys, and arteries. It's estimated that around 30% of Nigerians, that's Nigerian adults, suffer from high blood pressure, a statistic that only seems to be rising due to lifestyle changes, stress, and a lack of regular health checks. Hypertension goes undetected because of the lack of symptoms, and tragically, neglect of one's health only increase the risk. Ignoring signs of high blood pressure or failing to get regular screening can lead to complications like heart attacks, strokes, and even death. The ripple effects are devastating, not just for individuals, but for families and the health system at large, which struggles to keep up with the demand for treatment when complications arise.
And so today we're privileged to have two esteemed guests with us to improve or rather to provide insights on this crucial topic. Our first guest is already a friend of the house. We also know him as Dr. Love. Is Dr. Yusuf Harun. He's the founder, Love for Health Organization. And joining us here with us in the studio as well is Dr. Oluwatoyin Adeyemi. She's a Senior Special Assistant on Health to the Lagos State Governor. Both lady and gentlemen, together, we want to say welcome. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It's going to be about understanding the factors about Nigeria's hypertension crisis, and also to discuss how individuals and families as well as communities can better manage this silent threat. And so once again, thank you so much. I'm going to get started by asking what the key causes of hypertension in Nigeria is, and I'll start with you here, Dr. Tony. Can I say?
Yes, you can. So, Doctor, hypertension, as you have rightly said, is a silent killer caused by so many things. It actually has predisposing factors because there are two types. We have the type 1 and we have the type 2. Type 1 usually is called the essential hypertension. The other is called the non-essential hypertension. And what we talk about are more of the risk factors, what predisposes one to having hypertension. And this could be modifiable. There are things that you can actually work towards sorting them out, or non-modifiable. They just come, they're just like that. So examples of the non-modifiable risk factors include things like the race. So the fact that we're blacks, we're African, predisposes us to hypertension. Age. Hypertension is also known to occur with advancing age as well. And then sometimes some people have a sex premonition or to hypertension that could actually be a predisposing factor. But the more important one, which I would like us to focus on, are the modifiable factors, because through our lifestyle modification, we can actually prevent hypertension. And this includes lack of exercise, sedentary lifestyle. It includes even diets, the kind of food we eat, also predisposing factors to hypertension. And then obesity as well is a predisposing factor to hypertension.
I mean, let me come to you, Dr. Love, there. I don't want to keep you standing there and just ask about hypertension being a silent killer. Why is it dubbed a silent killer?
Thank you very much for this very important question. It is called a silent killer because it doesn't show any symptom. Statistics have shown that all over the world, including the United States, where I've been for a couple of years, and even Nigeria here, where I trained before traveling, many people are classified as undiagnosed hypertensive patients. What I mean is that many people have hypertension or high blood pressure without knowing. Clinically, once you check your blood pressure, which people can even do at home, and your blood pressure is above 140/90 millimeters of mercury, on 2 to 3 separate occasions, you've been diagnosed as being hypertensive. And it is a silent killer because the end complications could get worse before the person will be. Many people die of hypertensive heart disease like myocardial infarction, heart attack. Some people can die of kidney complications, hypertensive nephropathy, or even the most dangerous ones which people see, which we call locally as stroke, but we call medically as cerebrovascular accidents, which could be ischemic or hemorrhagic.
Now, it's very interesting that all these causes or all these eventualities come from one disease. So it's very weird that it has absolutely no symptoms from before. But how would one be able to tell that there might be something wrong? Especially noting that Nigerians don't actively check. Dr. Yusuf, please.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much. Now, the problem about it is that as a medical practitioner, I advocate that people should check their blood pressures regularly to know. And as my doctor has explained, that it could be modifiable or non-modifiable. So the non-modifiable is, okay, my father is hypertensive. My mom is hypertensive. I grew up, I have that hereditary. I also have the hypertension. That wasn't due to something which I could modify, but that's just due to my genes. So the one that is modifiable, that one is non-modifiable. The one that is modifiable is what also she talked about in the beginning, exercise. We should always exercise at least 30 minutes in a day, and we should do it at least 3 to 4 times a week. Brisk walk is very important, particularly aerobic exercise, walking, swimming, moving your body, riding a bicycle. So these are modifiable things we can do to correct or to treat this hypertension, or not necessarily treat, but to regulate it, because some medical professionals will say there is no permanent cure for hypertension, but you can control it.
Now, Doctor, I note that you have a couple of slides that you might be sharing with us very soon. We're going to come to that next, but first I want to talk to Dr. Ononye here regarding, especially what you just spoke about when you talked about the habits. Now, regarding habits, there's a lot of habits in Lagos here that we can't afford. He talked about riding bicycles, swimming, and these sound like very elite type of sport. I don't know whether you have a bicycle or do you go swimming? Do you? Even you don't have.
I don't. But the stationary bikes at the gym.
Exactly.
Okay, so you can afford going to the gym.
Yes, I didn't want to answer this question because we're going to see.
Now, for the average Lagosian who's coming back from work late, who has to struggle through traffic, and in fact, that's the exercise on his own. But then again, still neglects every other thing. What can they do to remedy these situations that might eventually cause hypertension? And what should they take note of? What kind of lifestyle should they be living specifically for the Lagosian, the Nigerian, considering all our circumstance?
Yeah, so for the average Nigerian out there, I mean, you know, we've already mentioned that some of the preventive measures include exercise and good diet. So for the exercise, I know a lot of Lagosians are hustling. I mean, they have to be out of the house by 6 a.m., come back so late at night. But there are creative ways to include exercise into your daily living. For example, even if it's bus or the commonly called keke marwa that you take home, you can actually get down a bus stop to your house and then actively walk the remaining distance. Even if you're a busy executive, if you're in a safe environment, in quotes, it's something you can also do, like get down at your estate's gates, tell the driver to go home, and then walk the rest of the way. If you're in a building, maybe you walk in a building where that has elevators. Instead of using the elevators, sometimes use the stairs. If you have an intercom, you want to talk to your colleague in accounts that is really far away. Instead of using the intercom, just walk around. And then now we have creative devices. We have smart watches that actually count your steps. Ideally, will tell you to do 10,000 steps a day. So if you're at work or at the marketplace, you've been sitting down with your wares and you found out that you haven't moved around a lot, get up and move. Just keep walking. Just keep moving. And then for the diet as well, I'm really aware that, yes, a lot of people get home so late because we would say do not eat late at night because that will contribute to central obesity. And central obesity is a major predisposing factor to hypertension because all the vital organs are in the abdominal region, and we don't want you to have that pot belly. It's not a sign of good living. A lot of people always mistake it and say, oh, my pot belly is a sign of good living. So you can pre-prepare.
Please. I don't like the
Angelo just wanted us to show his physique. It's okay. It's okay.
So yes, you can pre-plan your meals maybe over the weekend so that you can pack meals and take to work, so that if perchance you're getting home really late, you have your packed lunch with you. Or offices can make arrangements for lunch/dinner for people that have to work really, really late. And just importantly, include offices can also make provisions for food. Okay, offices like Nielsen for officers that have to work really late so that they don't have to get home at 10 and they are now eating so late at night. And more importantly, include fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables, we have them seasonally. They are cheap, they are affordable. I know things are expensive in the market, but we still have our seasonal fruits, which are still affordable to buy compared to the processed foods that you buy in the supermarket.
Okay, interesting.
Well, I mean, let's come to you, Doctor, and help us share that slide that you have there. I can see you behind your screen, so you have the floor. Take it away.
So, understanding hypertension. Hypertension is very, very important, and we should also understand that hypertension and its complications are one of the leading causes of death all over the world. Hypertensive heart disease could develop into myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction, if not prevented, which we also call heart attack, can lead to sudden death. Hypertension complications can also lead to something which we call cerebrovascular accidents, which I've said, and lead to stroke. And many people are vulnerable to these complications. So this is a diagram of the heart. And this is the structure of the heart here. We can see the blood vessels goes into the heart. The heart is usually divided into 4 parts. We have the right atrium, the right ventricle, the left atrium, and the left ventricle. So understanding the health connection, stress and heart. Many people go through stress, particularly in Nigeria, due to our lifestyle and our work. So work, that's W-O-R-K, but it's good to walk, W-A-R-K, it's good to walk. That's another form. Like you talked about, some people may not be able to afford bicycle. I think they can walk with their legs, and that's a very good way of also exercising. So stress and heart. Chronic stress can lead to high blood pressure, inflammation, and other conditions in the cardiovascular system. So lifestyle factors, diet, exercise, which we've talked about, and all other daily habits play a critical role in maintaining a healthy heart and circulatory system. So the risk factors for hypertension or hypertension risks. Number 1, uncontrolled high blood pressure. As I said, it's a silent killer because many people have not checked their blood pressure even, or have not checked it for a very long time. So this is one of the risks. So uncontrolled high blood pressure damages the blood vessels and increases the risk of heart attack, stroke, and all other serious complications. That's just what we've talked about.
Very interesting indeed. I see there's something right in front of you there. What is it? on your table right in
The
front.
little
Yes.
apparatus you have there.
This is a device, it's called an electronic sphygmomanometer. And I advise every home to have this. Every home should have this. We have the manual one, but that one is usually done by a trained physician or a trained nurse or a trained health practitioner. That's the one with the mercury. That's the manual. But this one is electronic. Once you just use it, you tie it tight around your arm and you press the button. Attention. And you relax. It's going to check your blood pressure.
Okay.
So to know if you are hypertensive, if the reading is 140/90, this particular one would even tell you, this one I got from the States, from the US, it will tell you if you're hypertensive or not.
Oh, really?
Yes, this will tell you. If
you want to try it out?
If you want to try it out, you can come. I could try it with you. It just takes a minute or two.
Judith, come on, Judith. Let's hear it for Judith. Thank you, Judith. No pressure.
You can have a seat.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all, Judith. We're going to get... while we're getting ready, Judith, I want to ask Dr. Oluwatoyin here some questions regarding what states or what governments or what people in authority can actually do to try and help people on their way to making sure that their numbers are proper.
All right. So, yes, states is actually doing a lot through centers, our general hospitals, and even our tertiary center, especially the primary healthcare center. Currently, there's even an initiative that's being run by the National Governors Forum. So it's a nationwide initiative where we're targeting 10 million Nigerians. It's a one-week campaign drive to ensure that Lagosians can come in their numbers, to know their numbers, both blood pressure and blood sugar reading, free of charge. So this is currently going on. But it doesn't mean that after this campaign initiative, it's going to go away. After that, people should regularly go to our primary healthcare centers. They are accessible, so you can go there and have your blood pressure checked. You can have your sugar.
Is it free
at this initiative that is currently going on, it's free, so you're not paying anything, no registration fee, nothing at all. It's totally free. Subsequently, also accessing care at a primary healthcare center is also free. However, when it's now time if you now need to see a doctor and they need to prescribe medications for you, then you have to pay. But the good thing is Lagos has also started the health insurance scheme, the Ilera Eco.
Something regarding what do you call it now? The drugs.
Yeah, the medications, yes.
If you're prescribed, how expensive are they? How affordable is the word I should use? Are these drugs? So because I ask this because normally people are scared of that eventuality. If I've been diagnosed with so and so and so, then I have to start buying drugs, and these drugs aren't necessarily cheap. And that's the fear that actually pushes people away from discovering. They say ignorance is bliss. So I don't want to know, so I don't have to suffer through the thought of it. So how affordable are these drugs?
Affordability is actually relative because you have different manufacturers of medications, and based on whether they are generic or brand names, the costs also vary. So we have some that are really affordable, but hypertension has a wide variety of drugs. So your physician would actually look at your medical condition, do other tests within you before they know the kind of drug that you'll be placed on. So it depends on what has been prescribed for you, which is why I was also mentioning the health insurance scheme, which I'm advocating that everybody should get on, because if you're on the health insurance scheme, you pay your premium for a year, and then your drugs for that year are totally free. Okay. So you don't have to pay anything extra to get your medications. All
right. We're going to be going to our test lab now. No, I'm sorry. Dr. Yusuf and Judith are standing by. We're about to we'll see what the numbers are.
You weren't going to miss the opportunity.
No, Judith, no.
You are not going to miss the opportunity.
Not this time.
So I trust you.
Dr. Yusuf, take it away. Let's walk us through the process, please.
Okay, so firstly, you have to be calm and relaxed as you are.
Okay.
And a footnote is, even if the blood pressure is above 140/90 at the first reading, that doesn't still diagnose you of having hypertension.
Wow.
So I don't want you to be scared or panic.
Judith, do you hear? Don't worry, Judith, be calm.
I know you're having the time of your life, but please.
What I'm wondering is what happens if it's 148? Here and now, you're going to break into a...
My friends are watching, please.
So this is very risky. I always say don't get diagnosed on TV. Here we are breaking all the rules.
Dad, I'm sorry, I didn't sleep well. All right? It's not
excuses.
It's not scary.
Doctor, proceed.
So there's something my teacher used to tell me. Let us not assume of an accident before it happens. What if you have an accident? How about let's just be neutral now. Let's check a blood pressure. Be positive, and let's see. So you're going to flex the arm in this way. Right? No, you need to relax. yes, you relax.
I was going to show you my muscle.
Now, this is the artery, so it's going to measure the pressure. That's why it's called the blood pressure in the artery. So I'm going to put it close to the arm here.
Okay.
And tighten it. It's going to be tight. It has to be tight. Do you feel it's tight enough or?
No, it's perfect. It's loose.
No, it has to be tight on the arm. Sorry, it's going to be a bit tight. Tight now?
It's okay.
Okay,
I mean,
so
it's
you can
not
flex
as
this
tight.
way.
All right, now when I flex, it's tight.
Okay, so don't now, just going to press the button.
Attention, please.
Attention.
Silent and relax. Keep the cuff at heart level. Start measuring now.
Open your hands, Judith. Yes, there you go.
Sorry.
Ah, it comes with soothing music.
Zeno is having a time of his life.
I am.
So what I'm feeling it's.
Please change the battery.
Okay, another battery. No, I'm prepared for it. I'm prepared for it.
Well, how would you not know if it's live television if things like this happen? We're out of a battery, but let me tell you how it feels. It's not so snug, and it's that on purpose. So when you strap it on, it's supposed to be a bit tight, but no, it's not. Just like the way you wear your very nice dress or shirt. And then when it starts to work, it becomes as tight as possible. Our technical team is trying
I'm going
to
to take it away from you guys so that we can. Let me take it away from you guys so we can sort that.
Small ones.
Dr. Oluwatoyin, there's something that we're always told when we use these machines, and it's that be quiet while this is going on. I understood why that is a factor that would perhaps maybe be that would add or take away from the results. So why are we always asked to be quiet while this is going on?
Okay, because the blood pressure machine, the sphygmomanometer, is quite sensitive. Even your blood pressure reading is sensitive to a lot of external things, and the major one is stress. And there's another typical example, which is the white coat phenomenon. A lot of people, when they come to the hospital and they see a doctor in white coat about to take their blood pressure, anxiety kicks in immediately.
I get that.
And that can shoot the blood pressure up. So we have them relax or without the white coats and all that. So it's the same with talking. You know, talking, you're exerting a bit of energy, and then it could also give a fake, not a fake, or it could also elevate the blood pressure a bit because of the exertion.
What about those
while
watches?
talking.
The watches that actually can take your
blood pressure.
How accurate are they?
For you to use any machine at all to read blood pressure, it has to be standardized, it has to be validated. So a lot of these things are not validated, but they give an idea. So for example, it might give you an idea. Once it gives you an alarming sign that, oh, it's a bit high. Because I told you that it's very sensitive. So many things, so many factors out there can contribute to false reading. So you have to cross-check and validate it with your machine at home.
Well, let's go back to Yusuf and Dr. Yusuf. Let's go back to Dr. Yusuf and Judith now. I think we've had our batteries changed out. So,
oh yes, we have.
So I'm going to also say that the best is still to use the manual. That's the method. That's the method. Because electronic is about the problem. It could have low battery. It could have faults in the electronic machine, which would give a false positive.
Doctor, we're having issues with your audio, so I'm going to ask you to just continue with the process, and we'll fix that audio as you do. So let's already commence with that one. I think it might be the batteries again. We've got the revolt of the batteries this morning. But so you were finishing, let me let you finish that thought from before now regarding the Fitbit watches and how accurate they might not be. But if it gives you a sign, it might not give you an accurate sign, but at least it'll give you an alert that maybe there's something, then you should proceed to any healthcare center to make sure that you get proper reading.
So one practical way for you to do that, to actually check, is check your blood pressure with like maybe your Fitbit or one of those devices, and then also immediately check with the electronic Sphig. So what you get, it might give you a difference of like 10 or 20. So you already know the error. You know the so if this is 120/80 and the other one is 130/70, you know that's more accurate. So you already know to add 10 or subtract 10 anytime
so you have a
check.
Skill
yes,
to work
yes,
with from
yes.
then
So
on.
that's a form of informal validation, but we have other scientific ways of validating these tools.
I have questions regarding other life habits like smoking, but we'll come to that. Now let's get back to our little test lab here. Dr. Judith, once again.
All right. Doctor, we want you to say, so just again, once again, just walk us through the process Doctor is going to walk us through the process once again. This is our, what's the name of it? Speed thermometer. Electronic. There we go. Let's get to it, shall we? We're going to try it again. I have the strap on, and I'm just going to press start.
There you go.
Sorry.
Relax, Judith. Don't say anything. Ooh, the moment is here. It's looking good so far, Judith. Don't you worry. Oh, we're in the vicinity. Oh, we're in the vicinity. Doctor, what are we reading here? What exactly are we seeing?
So you're saying this is reading for blood pressure. It's still reading. So it's going down to 99. Finally, it's going to give us the final results, 2 numbers, and also a pulse rate.
Okay, you'll tell us the meaning of both numbers, yes?
Systolic.
Beautiful. Woo! Nice. Oh, this is nice.
I am normal.
She's normal. Congratulations, Judith.
I am normal and healthy. All right. We exercise 5 days a week. She hits the gym, my darlings.
No, Judith, you can stay there, Judith. But it's very obvious that you're not being given enough work here at New Central, because I'm sure if I was to check mine, it's going to go way up. But it's all good. Back to you, Dr. Oluwatoyin.
Yes, please.
I wanted to know regarding specific habits. Now, smokers, for instance, are at more risk when it comes to hypertension. Why is that so?
So smoking, not just smoking and alcohol use, substance abuse, yes, they have been
take it away from every Nigerian. Nothing, you can't enjoy yourself anymore.
No, well, so those three, smoking, alcohol, and then substances, use of other substances, are also predisposing factors to hypertension, because science has shown, all this, we come about our predisposing factors based on research and science, and science has shown that those that smoke have a higher tendency of coming down with hypertension. And there's a whole pathophysiology behind this, which I wouldn't want to explain now, but it also affects the arteries. That's what he just measured now. Some of the veins, the vessels that come out from the heart that nicotine contributes to.
Okay, so it's not just nicotine, other substances as well.
Yes, other
and
substances.
Now, there is an okay amount of alcohol that you can ingest, is there? So it's not exact. It's not absolutely saying don't do alcohol. So what is that specific amount?
So we usually don't like saying that, because a lot of people abuse that. In fact, some people would even quote the Bible to you and say that the Bible says a little bit of red wine is good for the heart and all that. And then there's even a comic. I mean, when he says a glass of red wine or something, he now had to get the biggest glass to show that, oh, it's still a glass. So yeah, the Bible says it's okay for me. So, but what we say is that the negative effects of the alcohol on the heart, on the body, is far more than the protective effect it has. Yes, it's been known to have a protective effect, but the negative effect is far more. So for the exact volume of alcohol, I don't remember it right now, and nobody's going to go to a party and start measuring the volume of alcohol they're taking, but we'll just say everything should be done in moderation. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, speaking of moderation, I would also like to talk about, just ask questions in terms of hypertension, men versus women, right? And we always have to put women at the center here. Besides being predisposed to it, whether it's your genetics, whether it's your health, whether it's lack of healthy eating and diet, can other factors contribute to it specifically for women? Pregnancy, PCOS, those type of issues.
Oh, yes, totally. So pregnancy itself as a condition could predispose some women to pregnancy-induced hypertension, but it doesn't necessarily mean that after they have the baby that they would continue being hypertensive. Some of it resolves on its own, while some of them would actually be hypertensive, unfortunately, after that. Then the use of some of our family planning methods, like the oral contraceptive pills, could, it's not that it would, but it could predispose to hypertension, which is why any woman going for any form of family planning will go for proper counseling. Your risk will be ascertained before they place you on any method. So, for example, if there's a family history of hypertension, they will probably not place you on one of our hormonal methods like the oral contraceptive pills or the injectables. So these factors are some of the, so any hormonal condition a woman has could be a predisposing factor. Even some medications that are being used as well, like steroids and could be a predisposing factor to the development of hypertension.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, it's always women, isn't it? It's almost like the society itself just, I mean, it's like if nature itself just has it out for women. I mean, Doctor, do you want to add to it as well?
Yes, there's something called preeclampsia.
Whew, that name brings some sort of sadness to me because
it's a sad name.
Yeah, my mother died from preeclampsia.
Oh, so sorry. That had gone into eclampsia.
Yeah.
Because preeclampsia are the warning signs of eclampsia, and a classical way to diagnose preeclampsia is when you are having high blood pressure in pregnancy, as we said, hypertension in pregnancy.
Right.
You are also having proteinuria. You go to the laboratory and protein is found in your urine. Also pedal edema. Yes, all women who are pregnant, don't be scared you have preeclampsia because your feet are swollen. No, that's not a confirmed diagnosis. A medical doctor has to diagnose you. But when you see these three classical signs or symptoms in a pregnant woman, she's having high blood pressure persistently, she's having protein in her urine, and she's also having pedal edema. Please, you need to see a doctor to be managed professionally. Then finally is the eclampsia, where she develops a fit or convulsion during labor, during pregnancy.
Yes.
Please see a professional doctor to attend.
Well, it happened in the 90s, and also this is a call to doctors as well, especially those who attend to pregnant women. Sometimes things happen. Be on a high alert and help our mothers, shall we? Well, that brings us to the very end of this segment. Many thanks to you, Dr. Love, for making me your guinea pig for today. I appreciate you. Dr. Yusuf Harun is the head of Love for Health organization, and he joined us here today for hypertension. Also, we had Dr. Olutoni Adeyemi. She's a senior special assistant to the governor on health matters, and they've been talking to us about healthy heart, healthy life, and just basically living healthy and all that you should know when it comes to the silent killer, hypertension. Once again, many thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Well, stick around. Stick around. There's plenty more on Breakfast Extra. Don't go anywhere. See, because I was a specimen. Sorry.
Welcome back. You're still watching Breakfast Extra. Time to bring you stories that will keep your blood pressure regulated. We begin with a word of basketball where the Kingsmen, they are gearing up for a thrilling conclusion of the Atlantic Conference as they face a crucial test today against unbeaten Hoops and Reed. The Rivers Hoopers, determined to finish the conference undefeated, have their sights set on maintaining a perfect record. In their last outing, the Kingsmen showcased their offensive firepower, scoring over 100 points for the second consecutive game. Led by standout player Michael Okiki, who poured in 22 points, Rivers Hoopers dominated Kwara Falcons with a decisive 104-46 victory on game day 6 of the Atlantic Conference. Okiki's stellar performance was supported by a strong team effort, with four players also reaching double digits. Abel Ofia contributed 16 points, while Patrick Arba and Michael Daramola added 15 and 12 points respectively. This balanced the scoring attack and has been a hallmark of the Kingsmen's success this season. Captain Abel Ofia, of course the reliable captain, he expressed confidence in the team's preparations for today's matchup, stating that the Kingsmen are battle ready and they are eager to prove themselves against Hoops and Reed. Let's listen to them.
We have been playing great, playing together as a team, trying to get our pace in the game. We have been in training camp for a very long time now because of this same purpose of the league. I think it's just a process of training and bringing everybody together, making sure that we are in the same pace. That's how we're able to win these games. I would say the conference is more tougher than ours, or I don't know, I think we have come in contact with each other before, probably in the previous league, and this time we are We are going to play the final 8. We don't know where we are going to play it already, if it's in Abuja, if it's in Lagos, or anywhere. So, but we are looking forward to playing the other teams from there. We are all locked in, ready to play. As you can see, we have been playing together for the beginning of the tournament, and we are ready to play. That's all I'll say. Tomorrow, we're going to give it our best, try to give in the win for the team and for Port Harcourt. So I would say I did it alone. I did it with my teammate. In the CDS, it was the support from my teammate that gave me the MVP. We played together, passing the ball to me, trusting me with the ball to shoot and everything. So I say all kudos to my teammates, the coaches and everybody.
Reliable captain of the Rivers Hoopers ready, and he's ready to go with his team against Hoops and Reed today. They are coming. The Kingsmen are coming indeed. Moving away from that, let's take it to the world of football. Ademola Lookman is in the news once again. He has been named among the 10 best performing Serie A players in the opening 10 rounds of the 2024-2025 season due to his consistent top-draw performance for Atalanta. As reported by Fantasio and also cited by Football Italia on Friday, the Nigerian forward is ranked 6th with 6.64, with Fiorentina goalkeeper David De Gea in the pole position with 6.86 points, according to a ranking based on the average player ratings from the Italian sport papers, considering footballers with at least 50% of the league appearances. Lookman's Atalanta teammate Matteo Retegui, the current top scorer in the Serie A, is second with 6.75 points. In contrast, we had Inter Milan's Marcos Thuram, the second best scorer in the league. He's ranked third at 6.7 points. Nico Paz from Como had 6.67 points, while Milinkovic-Savic from Torino has got 6.67 points. Nuno Tavares from Lazio, 6.62, Barella at 6.57, Marit at 6.57, and Christian Pulisic, he's got 6.56 points. Not forgetting Castellanos from Lazio has got 6.56 points, completing the pile of top 10 players. Lookman, who ended up being 14th position in the Ballon d'Or rankings, has followed up with his remarkable last season's campaign with scintillating performances this season, making 7 appearances overall and accumulating 431 minutes of playing time. Nobody is topping Ademola Lookman this season, so careful words. He's going to get that, of course. Wrapping up sport update at this time. Let's tell you that Super Eagles B players, that's the home base Super Eagles, they're expected to regroup next week to continue their preparations for the 2025 African Nations Championship, the qualifying 2-leg against Ghana. This is scheduled for December. The team had its first training session in Abuja on Wednesday and concluded training for the week on Thursday before the players, they had to return to their respective club for the weekend's Nigeria Premier Football League fixtures. These players are gearing up for that Jollof Derby in the CHAN qualifiers. They showed some flashes of brilliance during the 2-day exercise, drawing communion from the Super Eagles interim coach and the technical director of Nigerian Football Federation, Augustine Iguavo, who said he was very impressed with what he had seen from the players so far. Ghana would host Nigeria in the first leg between 20th to 22nd of December, then 2 to 22nd, 2024. While the second leg will be held in Nigeria a week later. The winner over the 2 legs will automatically qualify for the 2025 CHAN, which Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, they will all co-host. There you have it at this time, Sport Update. Back to you, Maxino and Judith. I'm sure these stories have been able to regulate your pressure at this time. Maxino, I'm talking to you because I can see that Judith is in an all clear.
Yeah, we got a test and everything. She's they pointed to me on the pot belly. They pointed to me on the, not having enough time to sleep. Always. So it's okay. It's all right. I'll take it. I will take one for the team.
I think Maxino too is not doing too much here. We need to give him much.
Do you get?
I'm speaking for the ladies. Women supporting women.
My girl, I see you.
Thank you at this time, Onyechi Obaro.
Let's give her more work. She's going to bring us the news in just a bit, and that will be Judith. Thank you very much.
I've been exercising. I can take it. And it's time for us to bring you the breakfast headlines, and we'll begin by telling you that President Bola Tinubu says the tax reform bills would not be withdrawn from the National Assembly. He rather explained that the bills should go through the legislative process. The special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Nanuga, disclosed this in a statement. According to the statement, President Bola Tinubu received the National Economic Council's recommendation that the tax reform bills already sent to the National Assembly be withdrawn for further consultation. The Nigerian leader also commended the National Economic Council members, especially Vice President Kashim Shettima and the 36 state governors, for their advice. The Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, has intervened in the case of the #EndBadGovernance protesters who were arraigned earlier on Friday. The protesters who were arrested during the August 1st to August 10th #EndBadGovernance demonstration were brought to a federal high court in Abuja, while 4 of them, including 2 minors, slumped and were taken to the hospital. 114 of them were granted 10 million naira bail, each with 2 shorties, each in like sum. Now, Justice Obiora Ugwatu admitted them to bail after hearing the defense lawyer's application and the prosecution's submission. In a statement on Friday night, Lateef Fagbemi, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, said he had directed a transfer of the case file from the police. He added that the process to bring the adjournment forward had commenced. Meanwhile, the Nigerian police force says it rigorously adhered to legal provisions to ensure fairness and accountability under the rule of law in managing the detention and arraignment of the 76 suspects. The Nigerian Police Force Public Relations Officer Muyiwa Adejobi, in a statement, said the 76 individuals were arraigned in court on charges including terrorism, arson, and treasonable felony. While responding to questions regarding the arraignment of minor #EndBadGovernance protesters at the Federal High Court in Abuja, Adejobi explained that children above the age of 7 can be charged to court. According to him, those exempt from criminal liability under the law are children under the age of 7, emphasizing that the arraigned individuals are 13 years and above. Staying with the court matters, the Federal High Court in Lagos has ordered the final forfeiture of $2.045 million, 7 prime properties and share certificates linked to former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele. Justice Dende Dikpeolu ruled that neither Emefiele nor any other interested party contested the assets after an initial interim forfeiture. The court also noted that Emefiele failed to provide evidence linking his earnings from Zenith Bank or the Central Bank of Nigeria to the purchase of these properties. Emefiele denied connections to the companies under which the assets were bought, and these companies did not appear in court to claim ownership. We'll vary from that, and this time talking security. Nigeria's acting Chief of Army Staff, Major General Olufemi Oluyinde, has called for support from stakeholders to fulfill the mandate of the Nigerian Army till the return of his principal, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, who is currently recuperating from an undisclosed illness. Now, this was during the formal taking over ceremony of the new Army Chief at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja. Amadin Uyi reports.
It is the first event of its kind in the Nigerian military. As senior military officials gathered at the Defense Headquarters in Abuja, the Chief of Defense Staff highlighted the reasons for the occasion.
Our brother and our friend, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, went on his leave and went for his medical checkup and had reasons to stay behind to continue to do his medical checkup. It is our prayers that he will get better, fit enough to resume back as the Chief of Army Staff. In the interim, based on the powers conferred on the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, he has decided and directed and appointed an acting Chief of Army Staff with the full powers and responsibilities of the Chief of Army Staff until the President decides otherwise.
He says that the military will remain focused in its quest to tackle insecurity, thus they need to appoint an acting chief of army staff to help steer their army to achieving its core objectives.
For us as professionals, we are to continue with our task ahead. No gap to be left based on the challenges we have in the country. And it's in the wisdom of the President and Commander-in-Chief that today we present the authority to the acting chief of army staff for him to have full control and command of the Nigerian army.
The acting chief of army staff called for the support of all stakeholders to succeed in his new position.
My appointment as acting chief of army staff is simply to hold sway while Lieutenant General T. Medical chief of army staff is a way to enable him to take sufficient time to get necessary medical attention and prepared. And that I intend to do with the whole of my heart and loyalty to the Constitution, as well as Mr. President. I seek everyone's support and cooperation so that we can succeed together in stemming all forms of insecurity currently being witnessed across the country and return this beautiful country to the land of peace and economic prosperity.
With a new leadership for the Nigerian army, many believe that the vacuum created by the absence of the army chief has now been closed. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
And welcome back after the headline news here for Breakfast Extra. Welcome to the big story, another one. Now, we're going to delve into a headline making very, very interesting, shifts in society and opinion and all of that. Today, we examine the case of Alex Ikwechegh, a member of the House of Representatives from Abia State who was recently arrested and arraigned in court following allegations of assaulting a Bolt driver. You've seen it. The incident allegedly began with an argument that escalated, leading to physical assault. Ikwechegh, his actions have not only sparked outrage among the public, but also led to his arraignment and subsequent apology, where he expressed embarrassment over his action. That's what he said. Although he has been granted bail, the case continues to bring public scrutiny on the issue of abuse of power by those meant to represent the people. Now, this incident is far from isolated. Increasingly, we're seeing cases where public officials use their position of authority to infringe on the rights of others. Just recently, we had the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike himself. He made headlines for his blunt remarks directed at Abuja landowners, dismissing their claims of allegedly infringing upon their rights as residents. Wike's brazen rhetorics and confrontation, raised plenty of eyebrows across society, and especially on social media. Well, that's what we're going to talk about here today.
Blurring the line between pretty much oppression and governance. Anyway, to help us unpack the legal implications and societal impact of these instances, we're joined by Dr. Ayodeji Owobiyide. He is a seasoned legal consultant and litigation strategist. Dr. Owobiyide, it's great to have you here with us to provide with us insight on this very disturbing times that we're in and how public this blurring of lines are. But first, let me start, right? When you saw that video of Alex Ikwechegh, and I'm also seeing videos of this rhetoric that the FCT minister, put out, what comes to mind just watching it? I think I start from there.
Thank you for having me. It's very disturbing, when I watched the video, I was very disturbed by it. Although it's, something that is common to our big men in Nigeria, it's a big man thing to say, oh, do you know who I am? You need to revere me. You need to worship the ground upon which I step. So that sense of importance and arrogance always radiates around our big men, whether they're in political offices or whether they are in their private companies. You find a lot of that happening. But for that, in the Honorable's case, it was more disturbing because he knew it was being recorded.
Yeah.
That was more disturbing because at the point where he knew it was being recorded, I would have thought that rationality would have suggested to him that, I think I need to back off now and just basically, smooth things over.
Yeah.
But he still went on and said, record me. So it was daring the man to record him. And he even also, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in that video because he even told him that he should go and bring the IG. I mean, as the IG, watching that kind of video and having somebody say that, go and bring him, I'm sure he must be very, very
because the IG did put out a statement following that and said that, no one should use the name at any given time, that the IG is the IG and his office is this office. Do not use his name when it comes to confrontation at issues like this, that concerns, he then literally put out a statement. He actually came out to say that.
Because it's embarrassing to the office, because it shows a lack of respect to the office of the IG, to the police of an institution. And for them, I think it's an important lesson for all policemen, because it means that if the head of your institution is not respected, then of course it dovetails down to even the constable on the road. Because you have brought the whole institution to disrepute to the extent that an honorable member of the House of Reps is saying to another citizen to say, go and bring the IG. The IG represents the law in this country. It's the force of the law.
Speaking of the law and disrepute, as well as, just repercussions, we've seen the Honorable Speaker being docked to court, and he was fined.
Honorable?
I should see Wazina's face.
It's because it's a disgusting instance.
It was distasteful by every...
I don't think you need to add the word honorable there, so let's just call him speaker.
So he, the speaker, there we go, because he indeed was speaking, the representative was, he was not only just that, but also he was fined 500,000 naira, and then, he had to put out an apology. Is that enough?
No, absolutely not.
What does it speak then to our system?
Also, the challenge, I mean, all of this just puts to the fore the lack of decency in our public political office space. Because ideally, if you're going to run for the office of House of Reps, then it means that you must have a certain level of integrity, of moral character, of decency to hold that office. And, so when you have a member of the House of Reps bringing the entire House of Reps to disrepute in the manner in which he has done, in a manner that seeks to intimidate, to assault a person who was legitimately earning his living. Don't forget that all of this began because he refused to pay. And he said he was not going to pay the man for the services rendered. And he wanted him to bring the thing into his house. And that's where all of this began. So it just tells you the lack of, the disdain of public office holders for the people that they represent.
Exactly.
And also brings to the fore the rule of law. Because the whole idea of the rule of law, and I'm sure that A.B. Dicey is turning in his grave, the idea of the rule of law is equality before the law. Whether you are the president, whether you are a lawmaker, whether you are the chairman of any local government, or whether you are the minister of the FCT, you have equal rights as the person, the ordinary man on the street.
Let me jump on that now. You just mentioned my uncle.
If you don't know, it's a running joke here. That,
FCT minister is
the
my
FCT
uncle.
minister.
Now, regarding him, first of all, I wanted to say perhaps maybe there is need for an evaluation, psycho-evaluation of sorts for the House of Reps member, because even after he knew that he was being recorded, he continued and even administered 2 more slaps on the poor guy. So I'm calling for an evaluation of the gentleman. Sorry, of the man. Now, regarding my uncle, the Wike, yes. Now, he also had his own stage on social media where people were talking about his utterances when he was addressing the, in quote, landowners of whom their lands had been taken, reclaimed by the government. Now, he's also a minister. He's also in a position of serving the people as well. But what he told the people, or said to some of the people, one gentleman in particular, is, "Are you stupid?" These kinds of utterances make you wonder exactly where does your authority as a serving minister stop, and where does where does the infringement on my right begin? Because that's verbal abuse. That's abuse. Simple.
Yeah.
Where's that line?
Right. So every citizen of Nigeria has fundamental rights: personal liberty, dignity, basic decency, respect for the person. So when you have this public officials do this kind of things, then the people should take them up on it. For instance, you could sue for violation of your rights, have the court determine that and award you damages. Also, you also have the persons who have appointed, because also this minister, the minister in his own case is an appointee of the president. So the president ordinarily, who has appointed him, can't remove him or can suspend him to say, oh, I've seen, the video, I don't like the actions, which reflect poorly on my administration as a government that doesn't care about the people and that would bully and intimidate the people. So I'm sending you on suspension for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That sends a message to every other minister, to every other public official. But in Nigeria, you find the institution where it's difficult for these political office holders to discipline themselves because of the next election, because they're always thinking of the next election.
Right.
So if I do this to this minister, what would happen to my chances of getting or rigging the votes in a particular place? How does that impact on it? So they are thinking of the election rather than knowing that the people are those who have put them in power. So if there is a real sense that it is the people who have put you in power, you wouldn't care about firing any minister or anybody who's misbehaved. You send them on suspension. And that's what happens to ordinary civil servants. Because if there had been a civil servant in any ministry, any ministry of government, you would have seen the suspension.
Question again, for the Uber driver, or rather the car hailing service driver that was involved in the initial case, now he had to recourse to a system that's very unusual. He spoke to an advocate, and this advocate is somebody who's himself been in the news, and I'm talking about Very Dark Man. I don't know if you saw that. That was actually one thing that blew this matter up. Where do regular citizens go when they have these kinds of instances? For instance, even if it's just a simple case of utterance or insult, I can still sue, can I not?
That's a very pertinent question,
Yes,
Muzino, because
I can.
Because, and I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because when we constantly have to go to social media influencers to settle qualms and public matters that you should have walked into a police station or sort out, or look for lawyers that could help, that could take it pro bono, or even go to NGOs who actually take on this case, we go to sort after, oftentimes, social media influencers.
Yeah, so the problem is, and I think I've been here a few times and talked about advocacy. Having people in the civil society space do a lot more to let people become aware of what they do. Because it gets traction when a celebrity puts it on her, like Very Dark Man or any other celebrity. And I'm not certain whether or not they charge fees for these things, but they have a platform which is a wider audience. The wheels of justice turn slowly. So if you go to a lawyer, there's still the process of having to write to the person involved and having to go to court and file the cases.
So having
and
to find them and subpoena
an assault is both a civil wrong and also a crime. So, and even in this case, I think I read that the honorable, the gentleman, took this boat driver to the station first.
Which gentleman? The boat driver is the gentleman here.
Well, yes. So
the reps guy is not really one.
The his name is Mascot, by the way. Yes, so I think that's also very
definitive.
Yeah,
this gentleman in the studio, I adore it. I'm glad I'm not doing them as you guys. Because if it's a woman, it would have dragged me.
It is his name. That's his name. I think the people that gave him that name saw into the future. But anyways,
the subs.
So he took the boat driver to the police station first, and I think that it took the intervention of when it went viral to have the man released, and then to have the member of the house arraigned. So you see that the dynamics basically are tilted against the poor in society.
Exactly.
Yes, it's tilted because the machinery to get justice is quite slow, and of course you've seen that the judiciary has taken a lot of flack for that, for the slow pace of justice. You have cases that last in court for years.
And we see this happen even in regular society. If your landlord takes you to the police station, he's the one in the right from the start.
Yes, so and that's why the police needs to do a lot more about their image. They need to do some cleansing internally, and they need to reposition the police force. So I believe that the IG, seeing this spate of events concerning him, should do a lot more to ensure that the image of the police is revamped.
Well, press for time, so I'm going to ask you. The mascot represents, he's a rep from Abia State. Now, I cannot,
I think it's
at this point.
Abba
South, thank you so much.
Yes.
This is also very indicting on the people of Abba.
Absolutely.
And I'm certain, without a question of a doubt, that seeing that the rep of theirs can do this to a very, an average Nigerian who's working hard, legitimately trying to earn a living in a climate as this must be hard for them to watch.
Can they recall
So can they
their rep?
recall their rep? And how can they do it?
Absolutely, there's a procedure for recall guaranteed under the Constitution. So, but that procedure, like I said, also it's very cumbersome because it's not as easy as it is for you just swing. You need to go through the whole process. And I think if you recall that Senator Dino Melaye, there was an attempt to recall him. It failed. And of course, there's a reason why those things fail, because you have money politics involved as well. Also, there's also the question of legitimacy of those members. Were they actually voted in by their people? It may cause them to question whether those people voted them in. In other climes, the people actually do vote them in, and they have the power to recall effectively. They can go to court and then recall. But I've not even seen a statement from anybody from about South or about North saying, "Oh, you embarrassed me, and for this reason, I'm going to begin the process of recalling you." The party, ABGA, has done a bit of using a statement about how they feel embarrassed by it. But being embarrassed is not enough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, an apology issued is not enough. You need to take definite actions. For instance,
wasn't even suspended from the House.
one would be to say that we will not give you the tickets for the next election.
Yeah, let's start there.
That's
and then suspend him for about a year.
Then also the House of Reps. I watched with dismay the Deputy Speaker, I think Benjamin Kalu, say during the plenary session of the House that they won't do what the public is saying that they should do in terms of disciplining him, but they will refer the matter to the Ethics Committee.
Oh.
So we'll wait to see what the Ethics Committee of the House will do about it.
Oh, this time in 6 months, perhaps.
Kalu is not so much of a agenda. Anyway, moving on. I was going to let me not say. As always, Doctor, many thanks for doing this.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you for coming. Always a pleasure, Dr. Ayodeji Owobinde. He is a seasoned legal consultant and litigation strategist. Join us today to talk about the legal repercussions of just the public officials when it comes to assault and harassment, and also what assault laws and public behavior is in Nigeria. Once again, we'll switch gears now away from this in time for Focus Africa.
Yes, indeed. Let's talk Focus Africa after I say thank you very much to the gentleman signpost. Welcome to Focus Africa, where we spotlight key developments across the continent. Now, today we turn our attention to Botswana, where a seismic shift in the political landscape has just unfolded. Seismic, very, very intentional use there. The recent elections have brought an end to the ruling Botswana Democratic Party, the BDP, 58-year grip on power, marking the first time since independence that the BDP has conceded defeat. Now, President Masisi, in a moment of historic significance, acknowledged loss, accepted the people's call for change. This election has resonated across Africa, signaling the strength of democracy in Botswana and highlighting a desire for fresh leadership and new perspectives. Now, the groundbreaking outcome not only reflects the voice of the electorate, but also shines a spotlight on Botswana's evolving political environment. With an impressive voter turnout, the election has drawn praise for its transparency, even as it marks the close of an era of one of Africa's longest-standing ruling parties. President Masisi's acceptance of the result underscores a commitment to democratic principle, a notable stance that sets a positive example on the continent for the rest of Africa and African leaders.
Andrea, can you hear? The door is, the call is coming from inside the house. Anyway, to help us break down this very landmark event, we're joined by News Central's political analyst, Bongani Ziziba, who has been closely monitoring the elections and the reactions on the ground. Bongani, as always, it's wonderful to have you join us today on Breakfast Extra. Andrew, welcome back. It's time to turn our focus on Africa, and this time to Southern Africa. It's Botswana, following the election and the landmark event that have now pushed the BDP, which is the ruling party, out of power after a 58-year grip on the continent, or the nation, I beg your pardon. That is almost 60 years. I mean, joining us now is Bongani Ziziba, who's going to join us to give us more update as to what exactly are the main factors that contributed to Botswana's Democratic Party, BDP's loss after nearly 6 decades in power. Bongani, many thanks again for joining us. A very landmark event. But again, just to start off, the main factors that brought about this loss.
Judith, a very good morning to you, and also good morning to our viewers.
here in Botswana. I've been speaking to the youths, let me just take it there, about what factors contributed to this. The youths themselves are giving themselves credit to this because they said they mobilized a lot, especially so that they make sure that the BDP does not come back to power. But I have guests, let them speak for themselves. I have guests with me here just to take the conversation to the youths, why they mobilized against the ruling party. Thank you for joining us here at News Central. How did we get here?
Well, I think the easiest way to put it is that the people of Botswana needed to test the democracy. The people of Botswana wanted an alternative. The people of Botswana wanted something beyond the economy that they had and society that they had today. And so it was deemed fit, I believe, by the electorate to test and see if an alternative could be found.
But talking about an alternative, how did you guys mobilize?
Well, I believe it is multifaceted. I believe that the UDC was able to maintain a social media presence, which of course a lot of young people would interact with, but also I would like to believe that they maintained a ground presence. So it is quite possible that they did not just manage it on one front, it was a multifaceted campaign.
Also, let me move to my right. Let's talk about the voters turnout. We saw rather a lot of youths in the queue. Why do you think the youths were voted this time around?
I think first and foremost, the youth were concerned about our country's economic state. I think it was very alarming for something like this to have happened, and the youth were concerned that if this is happening now, it's up to them to protect their future and their livelihoods, hence why the youth went out and decided to go and vote, because honestly, the future is in our hands, nobody else but our hands.
And also, let's talk about the economy, the grievances that the youths have. What are some of the grievances that the youths have?
I think one grievance that I think all of us sitting here have is the main issue of unemployment. It's becoming worse by the day in our country, and it's something that when we had addressed it, or rather had expressed our grievances to the BDP, it was something that was entirely overlooked. In the 5 years that they've been in power, close to nothing was done. When we speak about it, they speak of things like chema chema, and they speak of things like car washes. Come on. We're too old to be talking about things like this. Let's be realistic. And I think the main reason why Botswana voted for UDC was because in as much as maybe we don't understand how it's going to be done, they gave us a solution. We're yet to see how it's going to pan out, but the UDC gave us a solution that the BDP has for 58 years failed to give us.
And I must say Botswana is the most secretive country, because we didn't see you guys on social media mobilizing. We didn't see any rallies. When I came in here, I didn't see any rallies. I didn't see anyone wearing any regalia, but you managed to pull this through. How did you guys do it?
I don't think it's really that we didn't have presence on social media. It's only just that, Botswana has a very small number of population, right? So sometimes you can't really see what they are doing, even though it's there. In here in Botswana, we can see it. But then again, I think it's a case of the BDP just decampaigning itself, because they have been terrible. They've been in power for 58 years, and the economy keeps going down by the minute. Like she said, unemployment keeps rising. There's bad health care in Botswana. The education is declining. A lot of things are going down. So that contributed to the BDP losing power. Even though, yes, the people voted it out, but at the end of the day, the BDP played a role in this.
And now, obviously, we have a new sheriff in town. And as youths, you have your expectations. What are some of the expectations 100 days into power? What are you expecting the current government to do for you?
I think firstly, we need to admit that the new government needs to deal with what has been before they can deal with their own manifesto. But I believe that at least if the government within the first 100 days can bring direction with the economy to tell us directly what they'll be dealing with or what they are dealing with. I am hoping for an audit of government to see how organizationally and functionally they can optimize government, because one thing we do have is a bloated cabinet. So to slim down on that and to optimize the functioning of government. But also, we also need direction in terms of health. So we hope to see fundamentally how the citizen can help government.
And also there was an outcry of the IEC. Do you think the IEC did well this time around?
Okay, I'm going to say yes and no. Yes, because I think the IEC managed to listen to the cries that Botswana had, because there were elections, I think, on the 18th, those 19th. And I think on those ones particularly, it was mentioned that, ballot papers were few. Some people didn't manage to vote because there was a shortage of ballot papers. And the IEC hit to Botswana's cry. So I think, yes, because they managed to provide enough for everybody to be able to vote. No, because there were issues of, starting late, or issues of when you get there and maybe, when they look for your name on the voters roll, it was a bit slow and, things like that, and some little issues here and there, but all in all, they did overall, they did well.
There is a burning issue that I cannot go without talking about. Let's talk about the former president. Do you think he had an effect in these elections? I'm talking about the former president, Ian Khama. He was in South Africa in exile for 3 years. Then he came back, he started campaigning for de-campaigning his own party. Did it have an effect?
Oh, yes, he had an effect. I think a little bigger one than we give him credit for, actually, because if you look at where he comes from, where he's the chief, the people from that area, those constituencies, they used to be pro-BTP people. But this time around, they decided to vote out BDP because they felt like the other former president, the outgoing president, has been antagonizing their leader, their chief. So it's a sort of a revenge thing. They had to vote out BDP for that reason.
Let's just hear his thoughts.
We cannot ignore his presence. We must admit that when he came back, he did go around in the rural areas, which is very strategic, because the rural areas have been known to vote for the BDP. And so he has admitted himself that his fundamental role may not necessarily be for the BPF to win, but for the BDP to be ousted. So I believe he did have an influence.
Thank you so much for having you guys. What a beautiful conversation we just had here. The youths are telling it all, how they managed to unseat a 50-year-old party, liberation parties in Africa. We have seen most of them, when they are in power, they would not leave. But Botswana have managed to do it. It's back to you in the studio now.
Mbongani, many thanks for that one. We appreciate you. And also just speaking to your guests there, it's very clear that the next generation is literally, without a question of a doubt, the future. And I'm talking about the Gen Z. They might just be the change or the catalyst for change that we need for the continent. And that's Africa, of course.
I'll tell you something that I'm expecting, Judith. I'm expecting other African countries, or youth in other African countries, to actually take sample.
Yeah.
Not just take sample, not just the youth rather, but also
take charge.
Yeah, take charge, but not just the youth, but also members in authority. I mean, Masisi, straight up.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave.
Okay. Yeah.
Although it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. They've chopped enough.
She said it. But let me just, that's a
It's not like some countries
sample.
that are trying 13-year-olds to court and they say it's a law. Anyway.
Okay. Speaking of 13-year-olds, let's talk about the case of two teenagers. Let's welcome you to Extra Special here on Breakfast Extra, where we uncover stories that shock, challenge, and also ultimately inspire change. Today, we're shedding light on a very dark reality faced by many unsuspecting young Nigerians, the harrowing experience of human trafficking. Yes, recently, 2 Nigerian teenagers found themselves trafficked to Ghana, only to be forced into a world of cybercrime by ruthless gangs. This story isn't just about them. It's about a growing network of exploitation that preys on young, vulnerable individuals across West Africa, offering false promises and delivering them into a nightmare, and nightmare is the word. It took a coordinated effort and cross-border collaboration between Ghanaian law enforcement and also our News Central correspondent here, Marshall Ononye. Now, this case highlights the intricate ways of traffickers, how they operate, luring their victims with dreams of opportunity, only to trap them in lives of fear and coercion. Let's see if we have Marshall here with us. Marshall, good morning. I'm hoping that you've joined us already. Ah, there you are, Marshall.
Good morning, Mazino.
Grand.
Good morning.
So, Marshall, very good work so far, what you've done in helping these two individuals to regain their freedom. But first, can you walk us through how they initially got trapped in this melee?
You said 2, but what we have right now is 5. That's the number. We have 5 people that have been rescued and not 2. And asking about how they got into all of this, they were invited by some guy who came under the guise of recruiting some people for a movie shoot, for a job. And what was supposed to be a job turned out later to them to be a movie shoot. And they were invited to a certain location in Lagos State, and upon arriving at that location, they were told that the venue had changed and they were going to move somewhere towards the border. And on arriving at the border, they were told that the first batch of people who were involved in that job had moved to Ghana, and they were lured to go to Ghana for that job. And then on arrival, they, met the surprise of their lives. They were blindfolded and then taken to, they arrived Ghana in the wee hour of that day, and then they were taken to the place where they were held. The 2 guys who were tracking were held for over a month, and then the other guys who were rescued, we met someone who had been there for since January of 2024, and then another person since May of 2024, and then one more person had only just joined a week before we intercepted the entire operation.
And when they keep saying promises of job opportunities of employment, were they specific as to what type of job they thought they were coming to Ghana to do?
Well, I'm not sure you heard me from the beginning. I did say that they were told to come shoot a movie. They were going to be shooting a movie, and what was supposed to be a movie turned out to be them being held captive.
And the suspects, the ones who have been holding them captive, we understand that there was a chairman, the other men as well, who were part of a fraudulent syndicate of running 419 schemes, and as we call in our local parlance, yao yao. What's the latest with them? Have they been apprehended? What's the latest with the suspects?
Well, currently we have one suspect in custody who's been who's already been arraigned in court, and who was arraigned yesterday. We started the trip to the court on Thursday. The charges were admitted in court, and then the court had to write to a higher court to ask for allocation for which of the courts would be assigned the case to hear. And then on yesterday, we got the case, we heard the case was assigned to the Circuit Court 1 at the Adenta Court Complex, Frafraha, in Accra, Ghana. And the presiding judge was Her Honor Justice Angela. Justice Angela was the one who sat on that hearing. And yesterday, it was quite an accelerated one. The charges were read in court, and then the person who was held was requested to be remanded in police custody until further hearing, and eventually the case was adjourned to Tuesday for other hearing. Now, the judge also issued 2 bench warrants for 2 other people who are involved in this particular case.
Now, Marshall, this is not the first of this kind of case that we've seen. In fact, there was one here in Nigeria, in Delta State, where people were trafficked from across Nigeria to Warri. We're seeing an increase in the prevalence of these kinds of cases. However, I would like to compare what the response has been like from the police, from the authorities, whether here in Ghana whether here in Nigeria versus Ghana. What was the response like in Ghana? And if you were to compare that to the Nigerian response from what we've seen in other cases, what would it be? What would the result be?
Well, Mazino, here in Ghana, the police have been very responsive. From day one, when we arrived, we went to them with all the facts that we had. We also showed them the data that we had, and they immediately swung into action. They asked if we had done our own surveillance, because we had the first-hand data, and it was all in the affirmative, and they were sure that we had the right information, and so they didn't spare anything in putting manpower that they needed to be deployed to that location. From the Accra Regional Police Headquarters to where the intelligence team who took over the operation where it took us an hour, 30 minutes to get to Sasabi, the location where these guys were being held. It's on the outskirts of Accra, and it's in a developing area where you've got sparse settlement, but they swung into action. They didn't complain that it was out of their a distance away. They didn't complain that we were Nigerians coming for the first time, meeting us for the first time. They didn't ask for any kind of money or mobilization or logistics, and when we got there, the raid took place. We were able to gain access to the compound and eventually found those boys and rescued them. And when we got back to town, they raised documents to take these guys to the hospital. And when they got to the hospital, the police, showed up the bills. They took over the bills for treating these guys. One person had a dislocation in his arm, and the other person had wounds, scars. 2 people had scars on their back. The police sorted all of that out.
Marshall, your voice, I'm sure, is a sign of fatigue, and I must say, well done. So far, we know there was one that joined since January, one who joined 2 weeks prior, and also Daniel and Zeal, the young men who pretty much were the catalysts that started this whole investigation. I have to ask, for those children, the young boys that you met there, those teenagers, have they been able to make connections with their family? And what was their own story as well, especially coming from the angle of their parents?
Also, both Zeal, Daniel, and the rest of the guys had their phones seized. Now, you would imagine that when these guys were brought in, they had their phones seized by their captors and kept away somewhere in the building. So when the place was raided, their phones were discovered in one of the rooms where the captor was staying. And so everything at that point in time was considered exhibit and couldn't have been released to these persons. So it was a little difficult for the others, aside from Zeal and Daniel. It was a bit difficult getting across to their parents because they had their numbers in their phones. But yes, we've been able to get across to eventually some relatives of theirs, and we're hoping to be back today with them at New Central. And we do know that the parents and relatives are willing to have them reunited with them.
Well, Marshall, I must say thank you. We appreciate you for just taking out the time this morning and joining us. And also, I think you should get some, what's the word for that thing? Some strepsils for your voice. And we hope you get a plenty of rest.
Or come back home for tender loving care. Just come back home.
Yeah, we'll miss you. Also, Raina and Jew misses you as well, I'm certain.
Thank you very much, Marshall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's been a show. Very interesting here today. And I wanted to say my high point was talking about my uncle and, of course, mascots, the reps from ABBA. But very interestingly, I think that's actually going to be our takeout for today.
Ah, there we go.
My final words, I was absolutely disgusted by the instance, and hence, before I announce our takeout, I want to say thank you very much for joining us, and please make sure that you join us tomorrow again
Absolutely.
for a Sunday edition here on Breakfast Extra. And now,
I don't even know why they're doing it. The takeout should be me doing the test so we can prove to...
Maybe tomorrow we'll take that one as our takeout.
That I'm the most eligible spinster in the entirety of Nigeria because I'm quite healthy.
You heard it. You know where to
that's
come.
Right. Such is normal by all world-class standard. I'm sorry. Okay, bye.
Now for an utter display of embarrassing nonsense, this is our takeout for today.
Bye for now.
Where you are? Do you know who I am?
I don't want to know, sir. Just pay me anything.
So you think I will give you my money with the way you have spoken to me?
I did a job for you and you have to pay it, sir.
You will not see any. You will not see penny from me. With this level of disrespect, you're very stupid. Very, very stupid. Madam, who is this stupid boy that you sent to my house? How can this stupid idiot come to my house and tell me that I'm supposed to come and meet him in his car and pick up snail that I'm buying from you? Can you imagine this rat? I can make this man to disappear in the whole Nigeria and nothing will happen. No. I'm not going to give this silly boy 1 naira of my money.
You've been insulting me, sir, and I'm being quiet.
I pray that you do. I pray that you insult me. Can you please insult me? I'm not going to call my policemen to beat you up. I will beat you up. I will show you that I'm a big brother to you. I will slap the hell out of you and I will lie you.